Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Marcus. I am so thrilled today to be joining all of you live. We're super excited for today's class, A Walk in the Woods with OM System Ambassador Emilie Talpin. Emilie is an absolutely wonderful human being. If you've never gotten to meet her before, she is a former French teacher. She is a nature photographer that's been all over this country. And she has been just an incredibly talented individual, photographing everything from macro to landscape to wildlife, and inspiring thousands of people across the country. You can also find her on Instagram and YouTube. We'll drop her socials into the comments. While we have those comments rolling in, let us know where you're joining us from. We're so thrilled to have everyone. As you have questions throughout this presentation, let us know. We're going to get to those either throughout the presentation itself as well as at the end. So let us know your questions. We are here to have a really fun discussion and go over Emilie's creative process as well as her approach to getting better photos in all sorts of outdoor and nature scenarios. All right, so without further ado.
Hey, Ben! I am so excited to be here and to see everybody. Did you see? We have people from Vermont. We have actually Lisa and Tom Kuchera. Hey, guys, thanks for joining. Yep. Cindy, the East Coast, Australia. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, keep on posting. I want to know where everybody is from. So I'm joining you from Whitefish, Montana. I just actually crossed the border. I've been in Canada for a month. It's been a long time.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yes, traveling, doing the van life for a week, and the library in Whitefish, Montana just hosted me for an hour, so I'm very excited. I feel like I'm back to real life with an internet connection.
Yep, support your local library, people. Alrighty,
Yes.
So let's get into this presentation. So this is going to be a pretty casual fireside chat. We're going to be going over Emilie's most iconic images throughout her career that have a really good teaching opportunity and just inspiring everybody. So if you shoot with OM System, great. We're super happy to have you. If you don't, that's cool too. We're thrilled to have you, and there's going to be some great knowledge for you. So let's kick this off.
Excellent. I like that you picked this one because that's one of my favorite images. So it's a little jumping spider. It is. Now I want it. It's so hot here. Now I want it to be fall foliage. I cannot wait. So I live in the White Mountains in Lincoln, New Hampshire. And so we're very famous for the fall foliage. So when you think fall foliage, you think landscape. But I love macro photography. So for me, macro photography is all year long because I'm out with my 90 millimeter. It's my go-to macro lens, and this photo was taken with the 90 millimeter macro. I started with the 60 millimeter that I love. I actually have 3 lenses, the 90, the 60, and the 30. I'm not selling any of them because they all have a place. My 30 is for mushroom photography. I love this lens. My 60 is when I want something super compact, going into the woods as well, doing some plants, but also doing some insects. And then the 90 is just, it's my everyday. I love this lens. Like the way it helped me to compose because of the magnification is really key. So I have a very small compact bag that I have right now with me during this trip, and the 90 is the one that I picked. It's and creativity than my 2 other lenses. That's why I picked it. And so this one was taken with the 90 millimeter macro, and I just love all the details that you can see with the 90, and I can leave a little bit of space. This jumping spider was actually pretty big, and I hope that's the first photo that we picked. I hope that everybody's okay with spider. Post it in the comments. Do you like jumping spider? I want to know. Do you photograph jumping spiders? Lisa, who is in the comment, is the spider whisperer. So she has a lot of tips about how to do that with spider. I don't. I let them be. They are models. If I see that my model is not comfortable, I'm going to go and find another model. I don't push too much. And So for this photo, that was the OM1 Mark II. That was the 90 millimeter macro lens. And I do have a flash, and the FL700 is the one that I use. And I also use my AK diffuser. I also have it with me during this trip. And to me, just flash photography when I do macro is really key. My subjects are going to be moving most of the time because I don't get up early enough like Ben or like Chris.
Yep.
So that
Ben
very
Salb and Chris McGinnis, both very dedicated macro photographers. They do like to get up early.
Yes.
So with macro, you've got the entire lineup. And for those of you in the comments, I just want to say for myself, don't discount the 30 millimeter or the 60. They're both fantastic. They're going to give you an otherworldly experience and bring you down to those small subjects, places. But there are advantages with the 90 or the 60 when you have a longer focal length, especially with a moving subject, because you don't have to be right here. You can give it some breathing room. You touched on something really crucial, though, Emilie. I think it as a good takeaway for people. And I do see that we also have an entomologist in the comments, so I'm sure he'll agree with this. Ethical wildlife photography and leave no trace. That still applies even with the small subjects. That still applies if you're just on the trail. Is there anything, you want to speak about it as far as like ethical, doing this out in nature before we get too deep in the other images?
Absolutely. No, that's a great point. So I've been traveling for a month now, and I have to say that it's been really, really hard to be on the road and taking photos and seeing some of the behaviors of some of the people I've encountered, and trying to educate them did not go too well either. So I've seen people just, cutting branches, destroying part of the flora and fauna, and that's not okay. Like, the idea is you want to show the beauty of nature, you don't want to destroy it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really important that I don't break things. Like, I want to make sure that my shot is not gonna hurt anything or change anything in the landscape, and it's not gonna bother my subject. So I actually have noticed, especially with ladybugs, that sometimes the flash is bothering them. So when I see a change of behavior in my subject, that's when I stop photographing, because it's not worth it. I'm gonna go and find another subject that actually might be a better subject. So you shouldn't see, if something is not working, you shouldn't see that as something that's negative. You should take that as an opportunity to do something maybe better. Go and look for another subject. That's what I would recommend, and just be mindful of not taking subject out of their environment, not hurting them. I've heard horror stories of some people recently who told me what they were doing with some spiders, and it made me cringed. So don't do something that
Absolutely.
you would not want to have been done to yourself, even if it's just a spider. I wouldn't do that. There were studies that were done saying that jumping spiders could dream. So you could imagine that they also have probably feelings. They would not be very comfortable if you did certain things to them. So to me, it's key. No photo is worth harming your subject in the process. It goes for human, goes for wildlife as well, and fauna.
And harm doesn't mean just, causing physical harm. It means changing the environment. You've left it in a way that is less than how you found it. Especially in nature photography, I find that when you're out on the trail, especially if it's a local place, you create a community either from meeting people out there or because your friends and family know you as the one that's always outside taking photos. You're responsible for setting a good example to others, both young and old. So I think that's a really good point. So I just wanted to touch on that. We did have a comment that I would love to discuss as well. We've got somebody that's using the 60. The 90, I just want to touch on that real quick. It's a little bit of a sales plug, but the big difference is, of course, there's a massive difference in sharpness and focusing speed. That's huge. But also the background blur and the working distance. That ability to not have to be quite so close to your subject really makes a big difference in how quickly and accurately you can get those shots, especially on tougher moving subjects. But the overall stabilization means that you can have a shutter speed that you might not have tried. You might notice that this was shot at a 40th of a second. That's pretty incredible at a 180 millimeter full frame equivalent. So those are just some key differences for those of you who might be wondering about, should I go to the 90? But
Yes.
I'm going to move
And
on
the
from
clutch
this image.
too. The clutch too
Oh,
is a
yeah, the
little
clutch.
easier to use for a lot of people because I think if you want a true macro, so a true macro is 1:1, which you don't have to. It's not compulsory to shoot a true macro. You could do a close-up image, and that's fine, especially if you have a subject that's a little bit bigger. But yes, for a lot of people, if you have the budget, I would go for the 90. If you don't, the 60 is extraordinary. It's a beautiful lens. Just learn how to use it. And I have some video on my YouTube channel on how to do this, use this lens. So
yes,
feel free to go and
definitely
check
check
it
out
out.
Emilie's YouTube. Definitely give her a subscribe. She's absolutely fantastic. I find her content to be really enjoyable, easy to understand.
Okay.
I share it to people asking questions. We do have somebody wondering, how far away were you for this shot with the spider?
Yeah, so very, very close. That's the distance is about that much. I'm very bad with American distance, but that's it. So just very, very close because I wanted a good magnification with the lens as well. So here it worked out well. I've seen a lot of people using their macro lens and using their macro lens as if they were using a telephoto lens. No, you can get way, way closer. And so that's the idea. And with jumping spider, very often they'll go and jump on your diffuser. That will happen. But yes, you will get, that's how close you're going to be from your subject. So super, super close. And you'll see there is a point where you won't be able to focus.
So the last question that I want to touch on this because it is relevant to other images before we move on. Somebody, Donald is asking, he's got that AK diffuser for his 60. Will that work with his 90? We know the answer.
That's a great question. So yes, it does. Does it work the best? No, because the diffuser is made for your lens, your flash, and your camera system. So if you use the 90, your diffuser is going to be a little bit bigger and longer. But sometimes I just, especially if I have both lenses, I just get the 60 and I know that it's going to work with my 90 as well. So if you have both lenses, it might be worth going for the 60 and you're still going to get some really good results. Don't say
well
that
said.
Don't tell AK that I said that, but it's true.
It's a tool. The more you understand its abilities and limitations, the more you can flex, right? Just like photography. Okay,
Yes,
so
exactly.
onto a totally different, adorable but not approachable subject. We've got a baby black bear.
No.
So where were you for this?
Yes. So this one was taken in Ontario. I did the Trans-Canadian and I went all around the lakes, and it was fantastic for wildlife. So moose, black bears, just fantastic. But this is taken from my car. I did not get out. I was very careful. I stayed in the car and waited for the bears to come. That's it. There is no other way to do it. And yeah, this one was just so cute. I love bears and those cute little baby cubs. I wanted to have a picture for a while of one, and it just happened. And it was a fraction of a second, just showing up on the side of the road and then just back into the woods. So you really have to be ready. And for this one, I can't remember. Did I? No, that was the 150 and 400. So I've been juggling in this trip with those the big white and the small white, as the other Emilie Macro Fulford says. So the 150 400, the MSwico 150 400 is usually my go-to, but I find that from time to time, really the 50 to 200 is just the perfect sweet spot for me because I'm in the car. I'm really, really close to those animals. I mean, when they come, I don't do anything. I stay in my car, and if they come close, then the 50 to 200 is my go-to. So I've been traveling with those two lenses, and I've had some really, really good result, and I'm really happy that I didn't pick one instead of the other. I think that they both are really, really great combo for wildlife.
Absolutely. So you did two things here that I want to call out. This is an exciting moment. If you've never seen a bear, it's really exciting, and a lot of people kind of forget themselves, right? If you're in an environment where you might be encountering bears a little bit more often, how we proceed, how we make ourselves known. We don't whistle, we talk. We make sure that our presence is known. Black bears, of course, really don't want anything to do with you. They're pretty
No.
smart. And especially when they have babies, they really don't want anything to do with you. But photographically, on the other hand, you've done two things here that I think are crucial for people to remember, especially in those exciting moments where we kind of forget ourselves and we just want to take the photo. You're at eye level with your subject, and that's huge, right? You're giving scale. And because of that, the second thing is you've decided to keep mom in frame a little bit while also having some grasses and some plants framing our little guy here. That helps give a sense of scale and importance. And it keeps things, focused on your subject in a way that's more interesting instead of shooting down, right?
Yes. So eye level to me it's really important because you don't want to crush down that little cub, but also the background is important. If you heard me speak before, I am a huge proponent of paying attention to your background. Your background is going to be as important as your image. When you think about it, that cub is the background is more than half of my image, right? So it has to showcase my subject. It has to not distract from my subject. And here I included the mama bear because I really didn't have an option, and it gives the idea of scale, and the mama bear is right there. You don't just see the ear and the neck a little bit, but I am always looking for, okay, where is the best light? That when I saw that baby bear, I was not in the right position, so I drove further. And I just waited. I parked, I turned around, and I waited on the side of the road for maybe 20 minutes for them to come back out. And I was in the right, with the right light and with the right background when they showed up. So very, very key. Yes, I'm going to take a lot of photos that are not good that you're not going to see. But as I'm taking those photos, I'm showcasing my subject better. Here, there's a little piece of grass. Can I make sure that I can move slightly so it's not on the eye of the bear, it's a little bit on the side. Yes, maybe that one piece of grass I could have, erased, but I didn't because it's just, this is the scene. This is how it was, that's what I saw that day.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So let's move on to our next exciting subject. So I'm going to keep doing this with you guys. It's going to be the theme of now for something completely different, right? This is a walk in the woods. It's everything. We want to be looking all over.
It is.
Before I jump into the photo, I do want to touch on something. So you're going for, let's play the scenario of you're going to go hiking on a trail that maybe is in a local area for you or somewhere you've never been before. And then, you're not totally sure what your subject is going to be. What's in your bag? Like, what's the kit? And not only just camera gear, what do you have for the day?
Yeah, so for me, I always like to pre-visualize my photos and have an idea of this is the photo that I would like to make. So on this road trip, I knew I wanted to find a black bear. I wanted the landscape was very lush. I knew I wanted to have a picture of a black bear in that lush environment. I always try to have a picture that I'm gonna make. This is how I would like to frame my subject. But then I also keep a very open mind. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen and what subject I'm gonna find. So I might be looking for a moose, but I'm gonna come back with a red eft. That's just how it is.
Very cool.
So pre-visualizing my shots, having an idea of this is the photo that I would like to make today, but being open to other things as well. That's why I always have my telephoto lens, at least one telephoto lens, but I always have a macro lens as well. Those are my two go-to. I have a teeny tiny bag like this where I can fit my flash. I clip my diffuser, and then I have my 90 or my 60 just in case. And then I will take one of the MZUICO 150 400 or the 50 to 200. That's usually my go-to. When I do landscape, so this one I knew, okay, that's the right time. That was with the 50 to 200. I needed to really get into that landscape that was way further of the White Mountains. So you could barely see my village where I live down in the valley. And this shot, I had drove by many, many times, and I knew that I wanted a couple of clouds, the blueness of the White Mountain at the time. So just again, pre-visualizing what I wanted and then waited the right moment to make it happen and putting myself in location, knowing that location help. If I don't know the location, I just do a lot of research. Google, just Google it, and you'll find best location. And you can also do a drive. It's amazing all the technology we have right now. Instagram, follow the local photographers, see what they're getting. That will also help you to get an idea. Like right now, I'm in Glacier. I look at my friend Eric because that's his area. He was there not that long ago. I can see what he's taking photos of. My friend Matt Zephi as well. He's a really great photographer. I look at what they're doing to kind of help me, inspire me, right? I love looking at other people's Instagram.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, those are all super good points. And some of them might seem a little obvious, but if you're not remembering them in the moment, you're not following those steps, you're not going to have the same advantage. I think that's really important. I do have somebody with a very specific question to this. They're asking, is this anywhere near the ice castles in the winter? Do you know what we're talking about?
That is correct. Yeah, that is about 20 minutes from the ice castle. So Lincoln, Woodstock, two towns separated by a highway. So Ice Castle is a great place to photograph night photography with the ice that's light up. It's a really, really cool place to go in the winter. And that's on one of the roads very close to the Ice Castle. You have a beautiful view of the White Mountain. And the Kankamangas Highway is actually all in those mountains. So a great place to photograph in for the fall foliage as well.
Absolutely. No, good. I mean, really good tip. So I want to give everybody another really solid takeaway when we look at this image. No matter where you are and you want to photograph nature, we're focusing on the small, we're focusing on the grand. Don't forget to consider a long lens, not so much for the wildlife, but for the landscapes. There's a very unique phenomenon happening here, which is called compression. For those of you that aren't familiar, we've got this whole range of mountains. We know those mountains are miles from each other. With a long lens, it can be a telephoto like the 50 to 200, one of my personal favorites, or even something longer like super telephoto. When you zoom on subjects like this, where they're all far away, you lose a sense of distance from themselves. And then you stack these mountains and you get a different sense of grandeur. It's a different way to tell the story. So compression, it's your friend. Think of it for the landscapes too. So that's another really good takeaway for everybody.
Yes, and also, I mean, this is not an example. This one is not an example of what I'm gonna say, but I want people to think about intimate landscape as well. So telephoto lens, you can really isolate some of your subject. So here, if I had my 150-400, I could have done just a shot with all those mountains and all those lines, which are like a very simple shot and a shot that actually sells quite well because it brings back people to the White Mountain. That's something that they've seen, and just nice, pleasing light with those great colors, those pastel color, are also very nice shots to do. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, if you can sell your work, that's great.
Yes, yes, exactly. I mean, sharing it and selling it is even better.
Yeah, wow, what a rare subject to be working with. So tell us what was happening here. I mean, this is definitely not your average white-tailed deer that we would see in North America.
So this is a bobcat. This one is a juvenile bobcat. I had been wanted an image of a bobcat forever, and I was just driving around, actually looking for bald eagles, when all of a sudden I see this cat jumping right in front of me, and it started going in one direction. Don't have time to take a photo, but I can see that it's going in one direction. Look at the map, look at my GPS. I see that there is a road that's going, close to the direction he's going, and I might be able to intercept him if he continue on a straight line. So I drive, I park my car, I get out, and actually this one was taken with not the 50-200, but that was the 150-400. I know that because
Ah,
I wanted to have a lot of distance with my
apologies for
subject
the
here.
typo, everybody.
No, sorry. And I just want to make sure that people know. So this one, a lot of distance with that subject. And so jump off the car, I literally bent down next to my door and I took my camera out and I waited where I thought the bobcat might learning the behavior of the animals, looking at their patterns. If they're going in one direction, you probably have a chance that it's going to be close to a straight line going towards you. So here I was positioned at the right location, and that bobcat just came to me, and at one point I thought, I think it's just going to come and enter my car because I had left the door open. It was just one of the most amazing experience because I'm just sitting here and that cat is really chilled, is not showing any aggression, and he started hunting right in front of me. So that's the shot that I got. I got a couple of other ones where I completely isolated him with or her with just a white background. But here I like that you can see it's kind of the end of the winter. So he's near it's the granite state, so near the rocks, and he has a little bit of patch of grass, and he's just hunting for mice here. And he's looking straight at me. I'm leaning down. I want to be at eye level with my subject, and I want him to come to me. I don't want to chase my subject, right? You're not gonna get good result. You're gonna get
Nope.
buckshot, which you don't want. You're gonna stress your subject, and then you're not gonna have natural behavior. Here he's pretty quiet. He knows I'm here. He's looking at me straight. But after that, he forgot, and he just keep on hunting. So that was a very, very special experience. And this is luck. This is serendipity. It happened. And I have to put my hours, right? I'm on the road. I'm
Yes.
looking. I know the territories. Sometimes I do get tips. Like I've seen some fox, and that's where they are. But most of the time, it's just knowing that that's their territory and just keep on going, looking for tracks, and hoping that it will happen. That's what gets me out there.
So I've got 2 tips on this, and I do want to be cognizant of time. I know we've got some good questions and we've got some really good photos. There's 2 tips I want to call out for this, and this is a great example because for a lot of people, this could be a once-in-a-lifetime shot, right? First off, you touched on the fact that you don't want to disturb your subject. Again, that's great. Ethical wildlife photography, ethical nature photography, so important. But especially if you're not a local to that area and you're photographing on a regular basis, you will have a solid gold reputation, and the local photographers, the local park rangers and things like that, if they see you being an advocate for good ethical nature photography, you might get some better tips that somebody else might not have had, first off.
Absolutely.
So again, it can reward you, of course. The other thing is, just like with our bear cub, you have an exciting moment here that's incredibly rare. It was a bucket list shot for you. You still managed to be situationally aware enough to compose the shot, not have it dead center. You've got some really good contrasting colors here. I'm sure this was one of quite a few, shooting in those high frames per second modes that we have, like Pro Capture. But you still have to take the time to set it up, and your settings are super clean. The ISO performance is really clean as well. Everything just looks great here. So well done. But for people looking, be a good advocate. It will reward you eventually, but stay situationally aware when you're out in the woods.
Yeah. Right. And I would like to take credit for, the focus, but honestly, with cat and dogs, it just nails like that focus,
Yep.
nail the eye, and you're good to go. So really, all I have to worry about is my composition. That's
Yes.
about it. So that's something that I like. The stabilization too. I jump out of the car, I hold my camera, I don't have a tripod or anything. I'm flexible, so that's a big plus for me to be able to shoot like this.
That 150 to 400, personally, I've never had it on a tripod. I've walked around with it
No.
all day. I mean, everybody's different about that, but I could say pretty much all of our ambassadors in North America, they almost never use a tripod with that, just because between the lightweight aspects and the effective stabilization, that L bracket's there really just be a handle. It's pretty great.
Oh yes. I mean,
It's an easy way to
it's
make your
really,
fellow photographers jealous too.
I know, and
Yep.
I'm walking and I see all those people on the trails and they're all looking at me. I had one little girl who looked at me and she said, "Wow, you are ready for this." Like she knew, like, oh, she has this camera.
Yep.
This girl is ready. She's gonna take awesome photos. But also, a lot of people are so surprised and they're like, "Wow, this is a big camera," And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's actually super light." And I give them the camera, and then they're like, "Oh, I might have to switch system." And I'm like, "Yep." And then they're like, "Where is your tripod?" No, I don't use a tripod. So it's
I have a
pretty
very
funny.
nice
I'm still
tripod that
very
I haven't
lucky.
used in a long time, and I'm starting to feel bad,
It's,
but it might have to get sold at this point. No, it's a really good point. A lot of people pick up our equipment just because Micro Four Thirds is so much lighter and compact. Yeah, it's a larger lens, of course. It's a big one for sure. I can
Mhm.
fit it in a 20-liter backpack straight up and down. It's full
Yeah,
frame equivalency, at
it fits in
800
my small
millimeters.
backpack.
There's no way. I'd have
Hmm.
to have a massive, 35-liter backpack, tripod, gimbal, chiropractor. It's a whole thing in terms of going out with larger equipment. So we do see a lot of people switch, and not just for the weight savings, because the technology and sharpness is really there as well.
Yes.
Okay, enough waxing poetic about our favorite camera brand, but
Well, it's hard not to do that. It's hard not to
it
because
is.
people
It
are
is.
like, "Wow, we're so excited about all the feature we have." And I see some photographers, and I'm thinking, "Oh yes," like I was talking to a woman, and then I show her, here are all the tools, all the technological, the computational technology that you can use, and she was really really impressed. And it's like, yep, no loss of quality, and look at what you're getting. Like I don't know. I think OM system should be talk up more of this technology, and people should be, I don't know, I'm always, yes,
There's a
so
reason you're an ambassador. I don't know if I
yes,
mentioned it
there
at the
is.
beginning, folks. I'm lucky enough to manage the ambassador program here in North America, so I get to talk to Emilie all the
Mhm.
time. And when she's not making me jealous by telling me where she is and what animal migration she's following, and just living a beautiful life outside, and not getting stuck in an office very often. When she's not making me jealous, she is getting me so passionate constantly about making the experience for our customers better, getting better education out to you guys, as well as just being a good advocate when I'm out in the field. So yeah,
so
she inspires me.
it's funny because I was a teacher for 20 years and I picked up a
Yeah.
camera in 2018. So I'm quite a new photographer in that way. And I feel like OM System and Olympus at the time when I started really
Mhm.
pushed me to become a better photographer because I had my camera with me all the time. And to me,
Right.
that's key. And I know that at Americas, right? You have a new Instagram account that's now for
Yes.
America that everybody should follow and everybody should tag, because I have a couple of my friends and also clients who have been tagging you and being featured every Friday. So today, if you go and look on OMSystem.Americas, you will see all the people that have been featured. So I have two of my friends and clients, Rebecca and Claudia, who got their photo featured today. So definitely do that because it's a great way to promote what you're doing, to showcase your talent, and to showcase the gear and our love for this system and what we can do. I never miss any of the Friday features because I think that there are some fantastic photographers out there. I see some of them in the comments as well that I know. And it's been so fun to see what everybody is doing. There are people from being a lawyer to being a scientist who use the system and seeing how they use the system and what they're getting out of it. And it's a fantastic. I feel like OM System is a small family, and we all helping each other. And I'm very thankful for the experience that OM System gave me of just applying for the Break Free program in 2019 and then being picked up as an ambassador. I mean, it's been crazy. It's changed my life. I'm not a teacher anymore. Now I just travel the roads, take photos, and teach photography to people. So I think that if you are very passionate about what you're doing and passionate about photography, then just go and set up your bar very high and see what you can do.
Absolutely. Okay, so first off, am I looking at a crow, a raven? What are we looking at here?
Yes, it's a raven. So those guys have been all around. So if you go to national park here out west, I always wait for them, like Yellowstone, Glacier. I was near Banff. I spent 2 weeks there, and they are very curious. They're very intelligent. If you want to know more about raven, you should read a book that's called 10 Birds That Changed the World. Fantastic. And they are going to tell you how clever raven are and how they're going to push.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it's fantastic. So I mean, here he's begging for food because unfortunately people probably fed him, but he was very curious, and he was posing and making some vocalization and calling other birds around, and they make for some really good subject. And here I decided to go with black and white. The sun was a little harsh, but not too much. There's been a little bit of clouds, but if you have a really black subject, you want to overexpose a little bit, make sure that you get all the details. And one thing that I think we don't talk enough is the highlight alerts that we have on our cameras. I mean, because this is like,
great tip.
This is a game changer. And not a lot of people know that we have superpower with our camera is that if you go into the menu, you can turn on those highlight alerts. So if you underexpose, you're going to see some blue. And if you overexpose, you're going to see some orange. You're not going to see them by playing the photo back. You see it as you're shooting. So you know what you're overexposing and underexposing, and you are able to readjust way easier than reading the histogram. Way easier. So for me, that feature has been a game changer in my photography and helped me to get properly exposed images.
Absolutely. So were you using auto ISO for this?
No, so I don't use auto ISO because of my superpower of highlight alerts. Because you could do I do center weight exposure. So the camera analyzes the whole image and tells me in the histogram, yes, maybe that's a little hot here, or maybe you're underexposing. But because I have highlight alerts, I can see exactly what's underexposed and overexposed. Remember that background? If I'm overexposing the background, I might be okay with it as long as my subject is not overexposed. So I'm prioritizing on my subject. Here I want to make sure that my subject, I don't have anything that's overexposed or underexposed. The beak is slightly, but it's, I have to be careful. But I don't use auto ISO because as soon as you switch with the light, it might, all of a sudden I will have to use the exposure compensation. And at the end, it's just better for me to just use the highlight alerts. And then my camera is actually completely reprogrammed. So this is my the front dial here. It's my ISO.
We could have a whole class on just customizing your camera. Yeah.
We can, but I find
Oh, I'm
that
sure we
my
could.
aperture is always wide open. Most of the time it's going to be wide open because I have the distance. So all I'm going to change most of the time is going to be my ISO and my shutter speed. And I can do that
Right.
super easy here. And then I
Right.
take the photo.
That's
I
a
don't
really
do
great
back
tip
button
because I
focus
think a lot of
because I
people
find that,
take that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You don't use back button
yes.
focus? Really?
No, I don't use back button focus. Why? Because if I use back button focus, all of a sudden that thumb is on my back button focus. I want to be able to switch my shutter speed and my
Mhm.
ISO. And honestly, I've had such great luck with the focusing and the bird detection that I trust my camera to do a good job, and it's been doing a fantastic job. So I feel that yes, there are some times where it doesn't work, right? It happens, but I find that I have way more keeper doing that method than doing the auto ISO. I know some people are super, super happy with auto ISO and are super happy with the exposure compensation, and that's great.
Mhm.
What works for one person might not work for another person. So I don't want you to think that
So
you
true.
have to drop this. It's just that it
So
works for
true.
me, it works for some of my clients, but there are some clients who are super used to back button focus, and I'm not going to tell them to change the same setting than like me.
Absolutely. So my two takeaways for this image, first off, know your camera. This is a tool. This is photography. It's
Yes.
a craft, right? We want to spend the time getting comfortable for, those situations where you can't stop to look down at
No.
your camera because I don't know about you, but if I was a raven, I'm not going to wait around for you to get that image. I'm busy doing my thing. They're actually so incredible.
Oh, they
They're
are.
one of the only animals that can recognize faces. We now know through studies they can hold grudges, so treat them
Yes.
kindly. I
Yeah.
know some people that have them, frequent their backyard, and sometimes if you're really lucky and you provide a good environment, with native prey for them and stuff like that in your backyard, they might bring you trinkets, which is pretty cool. Um,
Good.
but yeah, back to this. So know your tool, but also um, somebody mentioned in the comments talking about shooting raw. Whether you
Raw. Yeah.
shoot raw or JPEG, it's important to understand what are you getting or not getting by shooting those.
Hmm.
If you shoot it right the first time and you shoot in JPEG and you nailed it, great, good for you. That's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Raw gives you way more information behind the scenes. So if you want to change something, manipulate something, if you want to save something or fix something, say you did blow a highlight, or say you want to make a change like that, raw gives you the ability to do that without losing information. So the
Yes.
raw versus JPEG discussion, there's a lot to be had around that, but I think it's important just for people to understand the differences. All right, but moving
Yes.
on.
And no wrong and no right and wrong. Like I shoot
Absolutely.
both. So.
Absolutely. The only thing I'll
Oh
say is
yeah.
wrong in this is if you're walking around with a boombox and disturbing all the wildlife and littering. Outside of that, to each their own with this.
Yes.
So now again, for something so different, I feel like I'm staring at a kaleidoscope or just I'm getting punched into hyperspace, but it's fall leaves. Talk me through
Yes.
this. How did you do this? And I
Full
do see a
foliage.
lens typo, so don't worry about it, folks.
Mm.
We'll address that. This is not a macro lens.
Oh yes.
Um,
No.
Goodness gracious. But yeah, let's talk about this photo a little
It's
bit.
true. It's actually, and we talk about, the flexibility. That's the 150-400, the MZCO 150-400. And what I did is I think with this one I started at 150, and then I started turning and going towards the 400 focal length. And as I started turning, I fully pressed the shutter, and then it started taking my shot. I was with live ND, so slow shutter speed, right? And then that's what it gave me. So I do use live ND to do those type of ICM, so in camera movement. I love to do those. They're kind of fun. They're abstract work. And here I could see, actually, it was from my balcony, just before foliage. There was that big pop of color, and I thought, hey, let's try to see what I could get. And every shot is going to be different. It's very, very hard to reproduce the same image doing an ICM. And you have different movements. You can just, go the up and down. You can turn the camera yourself. You can start a shot. Then if you're on a tripod, move your tripod, more like an impressionist. So there are tons of technique. I think we can talk about ICM for hours and hours. But this one was just simple, just out of my back door. And I think we talk a lot about wildlife photography, landscape photography, and there are a lot of things that you can do just right outside of your door. And you just have to try as well. It might not work the first time, but continue trying. And you might make a mistake that might actually make for a pretty cool photo. So it's something that's a little bit different. I like to explore ICM. It's fun. When I'm very not inspired in the field, I just press on live ND. It's set up on one of my camera button, and I play around, and I get some really fun shots.
Yeah, computational features. I get the question all the time, so I'm just going to say it out loud. If you're wondering where those computational features are, like live ND, menu, camera 2, they're all right there.
Yes.
Definitely play
fun.
around with them. It's
Explore.
one of the coolest things. Yes, have fun. I mean, this isn't life or death. Go out, experiment. You're going to figure out your style very quickly. It's a blast.
That's what photography is all about. And I like John that says, this looks like leaf peeping at warp speed. It's true. That's it. That's a fast leaf peeping. That's just, and it's fun. I love to do that in the fall foliage, but also winter when you just have more like two tones. And you can get some really good image. And some people do actually like abstract work a lot. If you're in camera club, if you're doing competition, those ICM images are harder for judges. So you might not get some the score that you expect, but it's still very fun, and it works very well. People are usually, it's more about a feeling, right? That's an evocative feeling, and everybody's going to see something different. It's like going to the sea, and they show you those images. What do you see? We all see something different. So that's kind of what those ICMs are.
Absolutely. If I could give everybody just a solid tip with this, because abstract work, long exposures, there's a lot to be played with here, both with zooming, you moving your body, your subject moving. As somebody who's judged some stuff, and look at your own work or abstract work that you might find interesting from the natural world. What works about this photo compositionally is the fact that you've got a focal point. You've got leading lines sending your eye one place. You have an anchor to then expand and explore as you look through this photo. If you can find a way for there to be an anchor point, a clear subject, or where you want your subject to be looking, or the audience to be looking for that matter, you'll definitely have more success, and people might like the image more, and you might like the image more, which is the most important. But
and
I love what you've
light,
done here, seriously.
Yes, light at the center, like where your focal point is, just add a little pop of light, also help you read the image better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, and now we're back to the tiny world and another macro lens. So the OM3, what a great camera with the 60 millimeter. That's such a light, compact combo.
It is. It's fantastic. That's the camera that's most of the time with me. I love the creative dial as well, but I love that CP where I can just press on it and access focus stacking. So that's a JPEG. And most of my refraction, so refraction is when the light passes from one subject to the other, and then it basically invert the direction of the light. So basically those flowers are upside down, but they're flowers, they're round, you don't know. And here I think it's 15 shots put together in camera. What other camera does that?
Wow.
And I don't
in
have
seconds, no less.
Yes. and I see exactly what I've done. Yep, I've got the right depth of field. I got the result that I want. It works. Or then I can readjust. So again, we could have a whole, day talking about focus stacking and how to do it properly. But it's fun. I love to do refraction work. And here, rule of odds. So you have 3 drops, better than 2 or better than 4.
Yep.
And then same, you're reading that image, the drop going down. And that's one of my favorite. And all the refraction work that I've done, they're all JPEG, straight out of camera with minimal post-processing. So that tells you that JPEG really has a place. Those JPEG on our OM system cameras are fantastic, fantastic.
And did I hear you use Flash for this or no?
So for those, I do not use a flash, because of the flash, you would see the reflection in the water drop. So what I do is I light up my subject. So I light up the back, so the flower that's going to refract. And so you can see those petal of flowers. The 2 petal of flowers are all darker on the darker side, because that's what I wanted. And the back, so the flower refracting, is the one that I light up for this shot.
That's a really good tip. I think a lot of people would stumble into this and struggle on that. So when you're doing refractive work, you're using natural light, not a flash. So there you go. Okay. Actually,
exactly.
I've got a question for you that I think people might be interested in. So with water droplet work and stuff like this, when you're out in nature, do you bring a mister bottle? Do you have feelings about people bringing out Mr. Bottles? What's your take on that? Because sometimes macro can be a little staged.
It is. I think it's okay as long as you're not disturbing, too much. If you're not cutting the flower, reorganizing thing is fine. Most of my refraction is indoor. I have a couple that are outdoor, but when you do that, then you need no wind. So go early in the morning when the wind has not picked up, you will be most successful. But then you have a whole environment that you'll have to tame. So you're probably going to have to use some diffusers, block the light, control the light completely, and make sure that there is no wind. So it's going to be a little harder. 7 minutes. Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. Support your local library, everybody. Yep, we are cognizant of time. Okay. Last question on this one.
They gave me until 5.
I love that. Yep. 5-year time. When doing focus stacking, where do you like to put your first focus point? What's your starting point? We get that question all the time.
So I'm so scared, because I had some people who got really upset with me. Whatever is closest to my camera is where I start. And I know some people said, don't do that, because the camera is going to take a few shots before. But in my experience, I've been absolutely fine with focusing with whatever is closest to my lens, and making sure that I got what I need. For those refraction, I usually focus on so you have the water drop, and so the water drop is round, so that's where I focus on whatever is closest to my lens that's on that drop of water most of the time.
Perfect. Don't overthink it, people. Okay. No. Wow. And now we're back to nowhere near. So am I looking at a California condor? What am I?
No. So it's I know the name in Spanish, Bernardino, the vulture. And that is taken in France. So I had done my research. I went to gorge in the south of France. I knew that there were vulture there. I knew that there was a white truck that was feeding them on, I can't remember a specific day of the week. So I went hike to a village of 4 people. And then someone saw me with my big camera, and they said, over there. So I took the path, and I was the only one there. And then as I was hiking there, I saw a white truck, and I knew that it was my luck, because I didn't know when the white truck would come to feed them. And that was the perfect timing. I arrived as the truck was arriving, and all the vultures started flying in the gorge. And that's the shot that I got. It was a very special moment, because just all alone with the vulture. Again, just me, my camera, and bird detection. And
bird detection
that's the shot I got.
Absolutely incredible.
Fantastic. Yeah. And with the cliff as the background, again, positioning myself so I can have something that will make my bird pop.
Yeah, I do want to call out for folks, obviously we're talking about the OM1 Mark II and the OM3, amazing cameras. They've got some of our newest features. If you've got a clean background like this, the OM5 Mark II is an incredible choice for a compact, lightweight system where you're outside. You might not be a dedicated wildlife photographer, but you can get some absolutely incredible shots with just a little bit of practice. And especially if you've got a clean background, the standard autofocus tracking is going to do a great job as well. So just for people to feel included, no matter what their budget or what their starting point is, I want to call that out. You can achieve this kind of stuff too.
The OM5 Mark II is fantastic. I have this camera, and if I want a small compact camera, and it has so many features that our bigger camera has. I mean, it's a treat.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to move on. So all creatures great and small. Squirrels. Gray squirrels, we see them everywhere, all over the States. Some people have black and red as well, and those are cool. But I think it's an incredibly well done shot here. You've got really nice detail in the eye. You've got some fantastic color contrast play. That burnt orange of the pine needles with the green in the background, and he's just framed so nicely. When working with smaller mammalian subjects that are jumping around a lot, do you have any tips for people that are getting started?
Yeah, so they are super, super curious, right? So what you do is just you sit yourself and you wait for the squirrel to come and inspect. And that's exactly what happened. I was walking and doing a big hike, and then I saw this little squirrel, and then he just ran out. And then I just sat and I waited, and he kept on doing this and then getting closer and closer. And I knew I wanted him in a specific location so that I could frame it with the pine needles and that orange. And here it is. It would just work out against. I'm trying to pre-visualize the shot just a few minutes before it happened. I know that I want it exactly at that spot, and I'm going to wait and see if that happens. It's always in my mind where is the best location for that squirrel. So just sit, don't move, wait. It's going to come back. It's going to inspect and see what you are doing. And then having the catch light in the eye.
Yeah, the catch light in the eye, I think, is a totally understated thing. You did it beautifully with the bear cub in the beginning as well. But if you guys can get on their level to grab that, it really makes the image that much more interesting. Okay, so last image, and then we might have time for a final question or two. So what a fantastic shot to end the night with. But 12 millimeter f2, absolutely fantastic landscape lens, obscenely compact. It's pocket size.
And for this, so it's always with me. I have it in that trip as well for night photography, and I just that's my go-to for landscape and for night photography. And this one is a 3-second exposure because that's the northern light, so you don't want to do a long exposure. 1 to 3 seconds is max. And I was very lucky. That was last year, in the White Mountains.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible year. And for those of you hoping to get that shot at some point, spaceweather.com, it's your best friend.
Yes,
we've had some amazing years of activity. Get out there. You really don't have to get that far away from light pollution. I live in a fairly suburban area with plenty of that. Also, it's another reason to get involved with your local municipalities. If they're talking about putting in new street lamps, find out if you can help vote for the ones that are shaded, protect your night skies, build that community and protect it as well.
Yeah.
But those are great. Okay. Do we have any other questions? I know we had a few in here, and we can take some time to answer those, separately. I think one good question that somebody had was, do you use backdrops ever, or like colored reflectors or color cards when you're doing macro stuff? Do you ever go out and do that?
Perfect. I'm out. Thank you so much. I'm getting kicked out of the library. But to answer, no, I don't. It's all like natural background because I don't have the patience to do that.
They're kicking me out early.
But I'll be in the comments.
We got 60 seconds. Yep, we'll be in the comments. I'm going to hang around for a couple minutes and just answer a few questions that we have. Emilie, thank you so much for taking the time. Enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
And I'll be checking. Bye,
Absolutely.
everybody.
Bye. Okay. Thanks, everyone. This has been a fantastic one. Really appreciate you joining us. So we did have a couple other questions and comments that I did want to touch on. So yes, the OM5 Mark II, it's an amazing camera. If you care about nature and you're not looking to spend quite as much as, you know, our higher level models, absolutely fantastic, super compact, lightweight, weather sealed, but has a lot of the computational features that we've been talking about, just not the bird AI detection. But any kind of landscape or nature, it's great for those getting started, or if you just want something lighter. So in the future, make sure to like, subscribe. We're going to be doing more of these. This is our summer school session. I'm going to be back next week on July 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about landscape photos more in depth with one of Texas Wildlife Parks and Magazine photographers on how they've photographed all the state parks in Texas. So we're going to have some really interesting discussion there. Make sure to follow us at OM System events. You can check that out. All of the events that we have both online and in person. For those of you in North America, follow our new social. I know we've linked it in the comments. Check out Emilie's YouTube page as well for more instructional pieces on things that she's passionate about. And for all of you, get out there, keep shooting, have fun, and most importantly, print your images. We talk about that all the time, but definitely print your images. All right. Take care, everybody.